What's going on, everybody? My name is Andrew Montana, and welcome to Season 19, Episode 3 of HTF's main show. Today, we are 1 week away from the end of the WNBA season, so we're going to make some predictions for end-of-season awards and records. Next up, we've got the end of Week 1 for the 59th season of the NFL. By the way, Kendrick's playing at the Super Bowl. But it's in the books. Nevertheless, it's the end of Week 1 for the first season of some players, so we're going to be taking a look at the 2024 NFL draft class, how it has hit the field, and we're going to talk about some standout performances in the league's rookies. And last but not least, we've got a new segment where my ball knowledge is going to be put to the test. We've got an amazing show for you all today, including another main show debut. So don't go anywhere because HTF's main show starts right now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
And here we go. Let's start off this segment nice and well. Matthew Brackett to my left, Andrew Gregg to my right. I'll ask you guys both the exact same question, but Andrew, I'll start with you. Who is your favorite WNBA player or team and why?
Yeah, so my favorite WNBA player is A'ja Wilson for a variety of reasons. She's one of the most dominant players in the league. She's averaging the most points per game this season, and I think she just plays beautiful basketball.
Matthew?
Yeah. I'm a big Angel Reese fan. She is a dog. She's a monster when it comes to rebounding. So sad that she got injured and will miss the rest of the season.
I'm going to have to say my favorite is Sabrina Ionescu just because she's super close to the Bryant family, and she has been so before, during, and after Kobe's unfortunate passing. Her shoe line is amazing, super comfortable. I highly recommend them. And she's one of the best facilitators, one of the best shot creators in the W. But let's get right into today's segment. We're going to be looking at some postseason predictions based on stats, records, awards, standings, etc. as the WNBA season comes to a close. It actually comes to a close a week from today, but we're going to be a little bit busy talking about something diferente, if you get what I'm saying. But Andrew, I'm going to start it off with you. You mentioned A'ja Reese as your favorite player, so this might be a good reason for me to stay in between you two.
Yeah. So my pick for Rookie of the Year for the WNBA is Caitlin Clark, although I know there's like little to no pushback at this point because she's like minus 1,000 odds to win it, especially with Angel Reese going down. But she's led the WNBA, and she's actually the first WNBA rookie to record a triple-double, and she's had 2 of them. She also leads the WNBA in assists in her first year, and she's just done things that we've never seen as a rookie, and I think that she's one of the best players in the WNBA just as a whole. She was arguably supposed to be on that Team USA team as a rookie, somebody coming out of college. She'd played just a few WNBA games, and she was already considered to be on the Team USA team, so obviously one of the best players in the league, and I think clearly the best rookie.
100%.
Yeah.
I think what you mentioned, especially about Angel Reese being injured, unfortunately, as well, winning an individual award like the Rookie of the Year, you not only have to put up your best possible campaign, but also hope that your competition doesn't. Yeah. So for Angel to be out, her again. Former Betsos, I'm sure the line is ridiculously low.
It's extremely likely.
It's free money. Sure, yeah. It's free money for sure.
Yeah, because they were the 2 standout players of this rookie class. They dominated this rookie season. Every time they played, they made national headlines.
Absolute cinema.
Yeah. But the fact that obviously Angel Reese went down with a season-ending injury kind of helps Caitlin Clark's case even more. But even so, I think that she would have won that award either way.
I am the belief as well.
Yeah, she'd be the first WNBA player to ever finish top 10 in points while also leading the league in assists. So that's a crazy stat, and she's just broken so many records that I think it's hard to not give it to her. Obviously, Angel Reese has the double-double thing going for her, but besides that, I think that Caitlin Clark has essentially everything else on her.
Pretty much. I do hope she figures out the turnover situation as well going forward, but I mean, it's her first year. Cut her some slack. She's going to be the Rookie of the Year. Next up, I'm going to be talking about the Washington Mystics. You might not know too much about them, but for that very reason, they're fighting for a playoff spot, and in my opinion, I think they're going to make the playoffs. The reason being is because this latter half of the WNBA season, has been very promising and a very immature half for the Washington Mystics. They started off the season losing 12 games in a row, and since then, they're sitting at a record of, if I'm not mistaken, 12-23. So, I mean, do the math. That record's not super crazy, but do the math. Since that 12-game losing streak, they're 1 game over 500, which is pretty promising. And if we're breaking down the team itself, we've got the second best three-point shooting team and the 3rd best assists. Those 2 stats in particular, I think, are very good for an offense looking to make a postseason push. You look at assists per game. The more assists a team gets in a game, in my humble opinion, the better the offense is. You look at the Indiana Pacers, run by Tyrese Halliburton, at least that offense in the NBA. Currently, the 6th highest scoring offense in NBA history, just from one guy, averaging, what was it, like 11 assists per game. But going back to the Mystics, they've put on a very good show in these last few games. They're 5-2 in their last 7 games. Their remaining competition is moderately competitive. I don't think they would get past the first round, but again, I'm not saying they're going to make it deep in the playoffs. I just think they're going to make it to the playoffs. And yeah, the only other thing I do want to point out with regards to the playmaking ability on this team, that is not just run through one person. Like this isn't like again going back to Indiana or actually the Fever or the Pacers. If you lock down Tyrese, if you lock down Caitlin, like if they're having a bad day, it's not the end of the world. The Washington Mystics are tied for the most players in the WNBA, averaging at least 1 assist per game in 12. So the offense is being run through a lot of players.
The whole team.
Yeah. The whole team, pretty much. And the roster's, I think, 15. So that goes to show. There are a couple players with 3, 4, but the love is spread around the entire team, and that's something I love to see, and I think it's something very promising that you could do, especially making a playoff push. But somebody with playoff experience, if you want to go next.
Yeah, of course. So for my MVP, and I'm just going to say it, Defensive Player of the Year pick, I have A'ja Wilson. Now, A'ja Wilson, when it's all said and done, she might be the GOAT. I'm not going to lie. She might be the GOAT. This season, she is averaging 27.3 points per game, 12 rebounds, 2 steals per game, and almost 3 blocks per game. She leads the league in points per and blocks per, and second in rebounds and steals. You know who's second in points per? Arike Agumbawale, right? She's averaging 22.5 points. That's almost a 5-point difference between the 1 and the 2. She is an offensive juggernaut and defensively too, right? Her defensive stats, they lead the league in almost every single category except for rebounds. She's second to Angel Reese. However, let me cook here, right?
Hey.
Angel Reese has an average of 5 offensive rebounds per game, and that's 8 defensive rebounds. She has like 13 rebounds per game. A'ja is averaging almost 10 defensive rebounds a game. So, the argument can be made that she is the better defensive player. Not only that, but she is leading the Aces to the playoffs. There's no question. I think she's the best player in the league. And I think she's going to come away with the MVP, potentially Defensive Player of the Year too.
Okay, I was going to say, is your selection for MVP or Depoy or MVP and Depoy?
Both.
Both.
I'm saying both.
I like it.
Wow.
I mean, I really don't have much content for that. But real quick, we might have to speed run through our last few picks if we don't mind. Do you want to get into your second one?
Yeah, no. So for my second pick, I have the Seattle Storm as the most improved team. Now, Seattle had 11 wins and 29 losses last year. Worst home record in the league by far at 4 wins. They have completely turned their team around this year. 5th spot in the playoff race. They clinched up a spot, sitting at 22-14 right now. They're 5th in the league in scoring too at 83.2 points per game. 1st in blocks and steals at 5.4 blocks and 9.3 steals. They're a really good defensive unit. They're a well-rounded team, and I think that they can make a run in the playoffs.
Interesting. Yeah. Speaking of the Seattle team, I'm going to be looking at Breonna Stewart, who used to play for Seattle and, in fact, won the team 2 championships in 2018 and 2020, where she won Finals MVP. And I'm going to say that this season she did the exact same thing. This, again, I hate to bring it back to the NBA, but that's just my forte. This feels like Jason Tatum winning Finals MVP like odds in terms of right before the postseason. Best player on the best team. We break it down. You guys can see her postseason stats throughout the years. But currently she's averaging just under 21 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and over 3 stocks per game on 46, 30, 85 shooting. I hope her 3-point percentage goes up a little bit because that is what she's known for. She feels like a Dirk Nowitzki kind of prototype, and she's been the case for a while. But she's on one of the most polished teams. The Liberty have taken care of business throughout the regular season, and I think it's just something that's going to effectively translate into the WNBA Finals. But now that kind of leads into your pick,
yeah,
which
100%.
I'm going to have to agree with.
So if the Liberty were to win the WNBA Finals, which is what I have as my pick, I think that Breonna Stewart would also get the MVP as she's leading the team in points with 20 points per game and also has a bunch of rebounds per game. She leads the team in blocks and steals. She's one of the best defensive players in the league as well as offensive players in the league. She's top 5 in both of those in defensive efficiency as well as offensive efficiency. So just one of the best players in the league. And I think that she's going to be able to lead this squad to the WNBA Finals and hopefully win it. So that's what my pick is. And I think that the New York Liberty are well on pace to do that. They've only lost 6 games over the course of a 40-game season, and they're 1 win away from clinching the whole WNBA. So they also, in the WNBA, you play the 8th worst team or 8th best team if you were the number 1 seed, and the 8th best team currently has 13 wins out of 40 games. And so they have an easier path than many of the other teams that will have to go through playoffs.
The 8th, 9th, and 10th are Chicago in 8th, and then Atlanta and Washington both fighting for that that 8th seed as well, 1 game behind. So that's why I'm saying the Mystics could make it. That was like for my pick.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they do because that would be a cool matchup to see. I'm personally hoping Sabrina Ionescu wins that Finals
Only
MVP.
17 and 18
race.
games behind the Liberty in the standings.
Yeah, that's a bit, interesting. But up next, we're going to be looking at some NFL rookie debuts featuring a brand new face to the main show. We'll be right back. Hello, Hitting the Field family. My name is Andrew Montana, host of Season 19 of the main show. And on behalf of HTF, we hope you're enjoying today's content. But I'm here to tell you about everything else we have to offer here at the network. Mondays at noon, HTF Bets goes live with 3 of the best on-air faces we have in the program. Andrew Gregg's personality, Tyler Brownrick's sports expertise, and Nick Cohen's versatility make this show a fan favorite, but also a warm light to guide you through the harsh world that is the sports betting industry. On Tuesdays, Frankie Noble hosts a brand new show called Girls Got Game, blending women in sports, the biggest sports news stories, and creative segments that make for a fun and engaging show. Next up, we've got The Combine, an easygoing, conversational, and podcast-style show dropping on Wednesdays with Ty Patton as your host. No changes there. But a big change for The Combine is the set. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to The Combine from our brand new podcast studio. We've got the lights, we've got the cameras, all for Ty Patton to bring the action, and we hope you're just as excited as we are for this amazing opportunity. Much great content from The Combine this semester, as always. Then tune in Thursdays at noon for our second live show, The Main Show, hosted by, well, yours truly. Here we'll cover any sport, any topic, any story, no matter how obscure, be it basketball, football, hockey, soccer, UFC, MMA, cycling, even baseball. But be sure to tune in throughout the semester for our special shows, including drafts, debates, and much, much more. Lastly, Nighttime is aired on Fridays, where Patrick Previty and Matthew Bracker talk about UCF and college sports. From in-depth looks at campus's top storylines to collegiate records being broken nationwide, let Nighttime be your primary college sports resource. And outside of our 5-show roster, be sure to tune into our other content, such as the Studio Days vlog run by Vlog King Nick Cohen, breaking news graphics on our Instagram page, and much more. As well, make sure you're subscribed to Hitting the Field Network on YouTube, as well as following us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. But as for me, I've been Andrew Montana. Thank you so much for watching, and back to your regularly scheduled programming. And we are back. To my right-hand side, Augie Aronson, you've been here before, but brand new face to the main show, Diego Ortiz. I'll ask you guys a similar question to what I asked the gentleman in segment 1, but who is your favorite team or player in the NFL and why?
Definitely the Indianapolis Colts, and I have to say my favorite player is Anthony Richardson. I mean, he's just absolutely electric, so I love that offense.
He's a lot of fun to watch, and hopefully he'll carry my fantasy this year.
Absolutely.
Same here. He got to carry my fantasy too.
And yourself, I know you're.
I'm a Steelers fan, baby.
Yeah,
Let's go. TJ Watt, best player in the league. He should win DP, Defensive Player of the Year, every year.
Average Steelers fan right there. But anyway, this has been the first week of the NFL regular season. It is officially in the books. Actually, week 2 starts tonight where the Buffalo Bills take on the Miami Dolphins just down the road. It's a 4.5-hour drive. But we're going to be looking at some of the rookies that took over the NFL's headlines in week 1. Now, Diego, your guy's a tongue twister, but he had a lot of potential coming into this year. Who do you got?
I'm looking at Leatu Latu here. 24 sacks in his rookie season, in his college career. Had 2 interceptions as well as 4 passes defended and 5 forced fumbles. Jeez. He was the 15th overall pick in this year's NFL draft. He was the first defensive player taken off in the entire draft. He was forced to medically retire in April of 2021 because of a neck fusion surgery. He transferred to UCLA, came back to football, and ever since then, he's just been absolutely electric. He had a great senior year that propelled him a lot and rose his draft stock. I think his pro comp would probably say Max Crosby. He's a really good run defender, and he's really fast off the ball. He gets to the quarterback at a really efficient rate. And I think the Colts have been looking for a franchise defensive end since Robert Mathis retired back in 2016. I think he had a quiet week 1, but I think as the season goes on, I think he'll be able to propel himself to be one of the premier edge rushers in the NFL.
And you mentioned the word electric, which I think kind of ties into my guy a little bit. I'll talk about him real quick. Caleb Williams, #1 overall pick. What are you looking at me like that for? It's Caleb Williams, #1 overall pick in the draft. Before I get into his NFL debut, I do want to quickly congratulate him on getting his jersey retired at the University of Southern California. Great job for you. But as for his debut, it was kind of meh, you know. I don't want to blame it all on him, but just to go over statistics real quick, he went 4 for 19 in terms of completions. That's 48.3%. And he went for 93 yards, not even the length of an entire football field. I think Ty Patton, who was one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen, can say he did better for our intramural squad, and that says a lot. But something I do want to pinpoint about Caleb Williams' debut is that, again, it's not all his fault. The offensive line was porous. It looked like a phospholipid bilayer. He looked less safe in the pocket than a wallet in a Colombian taxi, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, it was bad. But I will say, something that did kind of stand out to me in a good way, I guess not to just, bash on him because, again, it's Caleb Williams, I'm expecting great things out of him, was that he was throwing very nice out routes. That is something super clutch, especially when it comes to late game situations and, something we can keep an eye out for. But anytime he was running, just regular in route, things of that nature where he's throwing towards the center of the field, something's happening. But again, I do want to emphasize that the offensive line was not super promising. As the offensive line, it is very crucial, very vital that you protect your franchise's most important and most valuable asset, which is the quarterback. Sorry. Anyway, Augie, on to you. You got to talk about Jared Verse. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so like he just said, I got the monster out of FSU, Jared Verse. Went his first 2 years out of high school to University of Albany in New York. He had 13 sacks there in 2 years. Then he hit the transfer portal and went up at FSU, where he had a monster 2 years at FSU, where he had 18 sacks in 2 seasons, as you can see on the screen. He did have a sack in his opening game against the Lions, and he was involved in a lot of plays. He had a good game there. He was a 19th overall pick to the Rams to replace probably the greatest defensive lineman of all time, Aaron Donald. Now, Jared Verse is more of a defensive end than where Aaron Donald was more of a deep tackle. So you're not exactly replacing the player, as they did take his teammate, Brandon Fisk, to replace Aaron Donald, but you're more replacing the production. And, Jared Verse was as good as they come in college. He's an athletic freak. He's a little undersized, which is wild for a guy that's 6'4", 260.
6'4", yeah.
But, if you look at his highlights, he's not too small. He's perfectly strong. He'll bully the best tackles in college football. Like, he has a play against Will Campbell, the starting left tackle for LSU. It's going to be a first-round pick this year. But he's got plenty of strength, and his bull rush is one of the meanest bull rushers I've seen in a long time. So that guy's got plenty of power, so I'm not worried about Jared Verse. I think he can be an 8 to 11, 12 sack a year kind of guy. I think he can be a multiple-time Pro Bowler.
Just from your perspective, before we go on to your next guy, what is, career-wise, just how you see his career panning out, what is a good comparison that you would want to give him? Because obviously, Aaron Donald's no easy task.
No, they're never, ever going to replace a guy like Aaron Donald. But I looked – I saw a Lamar Woodley kind of type for pro comp. I think he's going to be a little bit better than that. Woodley had about 2-3 good years. I think Jared Verse can maintain it for a little bit longer. I don't think he's going to be a TJ Watt or Myles Garrett type where they're going to have 16, 17 sacks. But I can see him putting around double-digit sacks a year in that kind of range. So a great NFL player, a great DN, make a lot of money in the league.
Yeah, for sure. Going on to your next player, though, same division, opposite side of the state in Northern California. Who do you got for us?
So I got Ricky Pearsall. Obviously, a lot of things happened with Ricky Pearsall recently. He didn't get to play week 1, but he had a monster. He had a really, really, really good career at Florida for the 2 years he transferred from Arizona State, where he had 2 different quarterbacks. He had 965 yards his senior year under Graham Mertz, and he had 4 touchdowns and 3 rushing. So he had a great career there. And yeah, we all know what happened with Ricky. Unfortunately, he was the victim of a robbery recently, and he was unfortunately wounded. So he's out on the non-football related injury list for the first 4 weeks. So he won't be able to return until week 5. But what I expect out of Ricky when he comes back is a great slot receiver. A lot of his production at the University of Florida was out of the slot. He can play outside, but the reason why the Niners drafted him, which was a little bit of a surprise, people thought he was going to be more of a day 2 guy, but he's a great slot receiver, and the Niners don't need another wide receiver run. Like, Keon Coleman was available. He's probably a better talent than Ricky Pearsall is, but Ricky Pearsall fits that Niners team more than a wide receiver 1 would do.
I like that.
So Ricky Pearsall out of the slot, be wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, 700-800 yards a season would be beautiful and exactly what the Niners would want out of Ricky Pearsall. A couple touchdowns. But yeah, he'd be a great slot receiver in the NFL.
100%. I think everybody's like rooting for him to some extent at least now.
Yeah, especially for a good comeback.
Yes, 100%. But next up, I'm going to talk about Brock Bowers real quick, one of the more promising tight ends, not just now, but also before the draft even started. In my humble opinion, I mean, I broke this down based on fantasy and how that panned out, but he was the second best tight end performance-wise this week. Week 1, behind Isaiah Likely. And even then, I don't know if that's going to hold because Mark Andrews just didn't do his thing, whatever. But that's a story for another day. Brock Bowers, six receptions out of 8 targets, 58 total yards. Nothing crazy. Didn't get a touchdown, but I mean, I'm not mad about it. We'll play the highlight here in just a second, but his very first reception in the NFL, my goodness, it was a monstrosity of a reception. But yeah, unfortunately, the Raiders didn't come away with the W against the Chargers. I mean, look at this. 3 guys, bro, hit the weight room and send a 4th one next time, will you? Is amazing what he can do. Great receiver, great blocker. He seems to be a very promising guy, I mean, at least for now. And yeah, I just don't know with regards to who's throwing to him. And again, it seems to be another weak offensive line situation for what the Sin City Raiders have got going on there. Gardner Minshew, he was nice and all, you know, that little meme phase he had back in the day, but I just don't know if he's going to be the franchise quarterback by any means. I don't think that's, you know, even any kind of like public perception of him. But yeah, I think great things to come from Brock Bowers. If you're on fantasy, you definitely want him. Nick Cohen, accept my damn trade, will you? Yeah. And last but not least, I hated watching him play because he was playing against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Burnt Lamar, or not Lamar Jackson, but just made a
team.
fool of him. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it was awful. Talk to me.
Yeah. So I got Xavier Worthy as my other rookie. And Xavier Worthy, he went to Texas, obviously, and then in college he had 197 receptions, 2,755 yards. And then in week 1, he also had 2 receptions for 47 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, one of them being a rushing touchdown for 21 yards. He was the 28th overall pick in the NFL draft. Obviously, the Chiefs have been looking for like a really dynamic piece, you know, outside of Travis Kelce in the passing game. And ever since they lost Tyreek Hill in 2022. And I think Xavier Worthy fits that role really well. You know, even in Texas, one notable game that I found was against Alabama, you know, before he entered the NFL draft. He had 5 receptions for 75 yards, including a 44-yard touchdown. I think he also ran the fastest 40-yard time at 4.21 seconds, beating the NFL record. So I think that he's a guy that can beat defenses over the top, and yeah.
I do want to ask you this, though, now that we're talking about Xavier's. Us here at UCF, we very much value our Xaviers, considering Xavier Townsend. Who do you think is more valuable to their team? Xavier Townsend to the Knights or Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs?
Definitely right now I say Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs.
So you're like the fastest guy.
Yeah,
and
I know.
nevertheless, the Chiefs got him, but the Buffalo Bills let him. Yeah. So here we are again in what seems to be a loophole in like the late 2010s Warriors and Cavs situation. Yeah. But anyway, up next, we've got some trivia brought to you by a special collaboration who I will let you know who that is just after this commercial break.
Tyler Brown, right? It says in my notes you're an Oklahoma fan.
That is correct.
So, let me ask you, bud. Is Texas back?
All right, I put on a brave face a lot, but this year, I'm really scared that they are, man. Okay, they just beat Alabama. They're gonna be top 4 in the rankings. And last year, they beat us 48-0.
Yeah.
It was humiliating. We're the Oklahoma Sooners. We were the best ever. We were talk of the town. We had Baker, Kyler, and Jalen 3 years in a row. And now, are we good? I don't know. We haven't won a national title since 2000. We're number 18, I think, and nothing matters, dude.
Sometimes we build up these walls thinking they're impenetrable. But sometimes you have to knock these walls down to build up bigger and stronger ones. And you got to be tough through that. It's hard being an Oklahoma fan at this time, but grass is always going to be greener on the other side of the hill, buddy.
Is it? I cannot live through a Texas national championship. I can't. I'll never recover.
Do you want to talk about Lincoln Riley?
What'd you just say to me?
We're back. Between the break, or I guess during the break, I found out that it's also your main show debut, which I had no idea about. But anyway, today we've got some trivia brought to you by Brianna St. Jean on behalf of Outthought Trivia. So Bri, before we get into it, what exactly is it that you do for Outthought Trivia?
So I work for Outthought Creates. I also am here in HTF, but we figured that it'd be fun to do a collab and bring you guys some trivia brought to you from Outthought. So what we do is we are a company that goes to restaurants at all these different places, and we will do trivia, and it's free trivia for people who go to these events, and we'll host, and we also do music bingo and mini games as well. So it's very fun. If you guys make sure to check out our Instagram, but if you guys want, we can go ahead and get started on the questions I have for you today. Andrew?
Let's get started. I'm nervous because I have no idea what to expect. I don't know if I should have studied or anything, but
I have NBA and NFL questions for you.
Okay. Okay, so just shoot them. I'll
We'll
do my
start
best.
off with NBA. I have question number one. Who was the first player in NBA history to be drafted straight out of high school?
Ooh, okay. My immediate thought goes to Kobe Bryant because I know a lot of people were like, oh, a high schooler couldn't make it, not just as a player, but as a person in the pros. I know other people, Kevin Garnett, obviously, LeBron, Raymond James from Akron, Ohio, my Pookie, Dwight Howard, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm going to go with Kobe because I think he was drafted first. I don't know if I'm wrong, but
None of the people you named is the answer. It's Reggie Harding from Detroit Pistons.
I know who that is. Next question.
Question two. Which NBA team has won the most championships?
Oh, that's, okay. Thanks, Mason, for rubbing it in the Celtics.
Yes, it is the Boston Celtics.
Plumber era. Take advantage.
What do you have against the Celtics?
Nothing. Nothing, Bri, nothing.
For question three, who holds the record for the most points scored in a single NBA game?
Oh, that's Wilterton Chamberlain with 100 points in, I think, 1963 against the New York Knicks.
Wow, yes, that's exactly correct, all down to the T.
Let's go.
Someone knows way too much about sports.
I love
Question four, what year did Michael Jordan win his first NBA championship?
Bro, 1991, come on.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I really thought these questions were going to be challenging.
91
for
to
him,
93, then 96 to 98.
You're really going to like this next question.
Okay.
This one was specifically for you. Who was the first overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft?
Bah! Bro, I could tell you how many tattoos he has. It's LeBron James.
Yeah. It's LeBron James. If you guys don't know, Andrew has a slight obsession. Just a slight one. But we can keep on going with question 6. We're going to jump on over to NFL.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
We're getting tricky here.
I'm going to have to lock in.
Who holds the NFL record for the most career rushing yards?
I know that half the program is yelling at me right now because. Oh my God.
If
okay.
you want, I'll tell you the number of the rushing
Can you tell me
yards.
his first name?
No, but I'll give you the number.
I was like,
The number of rushing yards is 18,355.
Okay, frick.
And that's all I'm giving you.
I'm gonna say Ben Emmett, and I know that's not the answer, but that's just a kid that went to my high school.
You were so close.
Yeah.
One of those names is correct.
Emmett.
Emmett what?
I don't know. Emmett Watterson.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett Watterson, bro. Shout out Gumball.
So close yet so far. For question 7, which team won the first Super Bowl?
I know it's the Green Bay Packers, but I think it was against the Chiefs. So
I just needed Green Bay Packers,
Bay
so I will
Packers.
take that.
I saw Daniel make a little thingy thing, but I knew the answer. Don't worry.
Question number 8. Who was the first quarterback to throw for over 5,000 yards in a single season?
Oh, that was the wrong question. Am I answering the one that was thrown up?
Yes, what I said.
Okay,
Who
what
was
you
the
said.
first quarterback to throw over 5,000 yards in a single season?
Drew Brees?
No.
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 Was it Tom?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
Dan Marino.
Oh, bro. Man,
You
I didn't
did know that one, just it wasn't on the top of your brain, I'm sure.
I wouldn't have gotten it, even if you give me 5 more shots.
Question 9. What team has the most Super Bowl appearances?
Appearances? Ooh. Okay, hold on. I might have to think about this. We've got. I'm thinking the most championships as well. I'm thinking the Patriots, the Cowboys, the Steelers. I feel like I'm looking at the monitor. Your eyes lit up a little bit, so I feel like I just said it. I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
No.
Damn.
You did say it though.
Was it the Patriots?
It is the Patriots,
Dang,
New
that's
England
okay.
Patriots. And for question number 10, which
You're
NFL player was nicknamed the Bus?
Gus the Bus Edwards. Gus Edwards. Give it to me.
Is that your
No,
final answer?
I mean, I can't think of anybody else. So, yeah, no.
That would be Jerome Bettis.
I think it's Gus Edwards. Debatable.
I mean, everybody could be nicknamed the Bus.
That's true.
You're the Bus.
Andrew the Bus Montana.
Yeah, that's all the questions I have.
Oh,
for
that
you
was it?
today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many did I get right? I don't know if you took track.
I did not keep
took
track,
note.
but I think
No.
you got most of them.
I think 7 sounds right.
Yeah, 7
I could
sounds
be
about
mistaken.
right.
Let
did
us,
great, though.
Thank you so much. Let us know in the comments if you guys played along, and let us know your score as well. But thank you guys all so much for watching. Special thanks to Outthought Trivia for
Yes,
collaborating
look at our
with us
Instagram,
today.
please. Outthought Trivia.
And-
or Outthought Creates. I apologize.
And
Outthought
ours
Creates.
as well. I mean, now that you're at it, you know.
Yes.
But tune in next week as we host the second ever Hispanic Heritage Month special. Y para mi gente latina e hispana, este episodio será el primer episodio en el programa enteramente en español en la historia de Hitting the Field Network. Y ojalá que lo disfruten, o si no, no lo volvemos a hacer para el tercer año. So if you speak Spanish, we'll see you guys next week. If not, we will see you in 2 weeks. And also, shout out Patrick Preverty for hosting our very own UCF pregame show on ESPN Plus. You can still tune into it. But until next time, go Knights. And
Charge on.
Woo.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.